Hello, everyone. It's Jake from the Average Intelligence Podcast, and I'm here today with a special episode of Average Intelligence News. Today, we are doing a year-in review of 2023. So before we get started, I just want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by the Smarties merchandise store, where you can get all of your t-shirts and a couple of hoodies from your favorite podcasts on the Arate Podcast Network. But we'll talk about them a little bit later. For now, let's dig back into 2023. January 10th, Prince Harry publishes Spare. His autobiography met with mixed reviews, but led to him and his wife, Meghan Markle, being parodied in South Park's World Privacy Tour episode.
We want privacy! We want privacy! You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where? You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid, and then so are like journalists. So you hate journalists. That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
January 12th, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland appoints special counsel to investigate President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents. On November 2nd, 2022, Biden's attorneys discovered classified documents in a locked closet at the Penn Biden Center. They reported them that day to the National Archives and Records Administration, otherwise known as NARA, which retrieved them the next day. The classified documents included intelligence materials and briefing memos on Ukraine, Iran, and the United Kingdom. Biden's attorneys discovered more documents at Biden's home on December 20th, followed by several more on January 9th and January 12th of this year. Biden's personal attorney said on January 21st that the Justice Department discovered 6 items containing classification markings during a consensual search of this home. The media largely portrayed this as showcasing, look, Biden is, cooperating for an understandable mistake, whereas they mainly portrayed Donald Trump as basically being a criminal. And it kind of depended on the news outlet you were watching or reading. But does anybody even read news anymore? I mean, I do, but I do this, so. Anyway, January 17th, Steven Crowder publishes a video on his YouTube channel calling out an undisclosed company for, quote, exploitation contracts. Jeremy Boring, CEO of Daily Wire, published a video the next day laying out the contract term sheet and revealing Daily Wire to be the company that Crowder was talking about. Crowder released a new video breaking down more of the contract term sheet the following day. If you'd like more information on this story, you can check out our podcast episode, Daily Wire vs. Crowder, which we published on January 26th, or Sunday Special, Steven Crowder, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, and more, which we published on April 30th. February 1st, Tom Brady actually retires. February 3rd, Chinese spy balloons are tracked flying over United States. On January 28th through February 4th, a high-altitude balloon originating from China flew across North American airspace including Alaska, Western Canada, and the contiguous United States. On February 4th, the United States Air Force shot down the balloon over U.S. territorial waters off the coast of South Carolina. U.S. intelligence agencies found that the Chinese surveillance balloon that transited the United States in early 2023 used an American internet service provider to send short, periodic transmissions of data related to the navigation and location back to China. China claims the balloon was a civilian airship used to study the weather that had simply blown off course. The Biden administration was heavily criticized by Republicans for not taking swifter action. Another such balloon was seen floating over Colombia and Brazil as well. February 3rd, a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. Former President Donald Trump visited the Ohio town on February 22nd, and President Biden has yet to make an appearance. February 6th, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake strikes southern and central Turkey and northern and western Syria. Along with a 7.7 magnitude aftershock later that day, this earthquake led to 59,000 deaths and 121,000 people injured. February 12th, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles at the Super Bowl 38-35. February 14th, the European Union approves ban on gas and diesel-powered vehicles after 2035, citing the need to combat climate change. February 23rd, Harvey Weinstein is sentenced to 16 years in prison for rape. This is on top of the 23-year sentence from a previous conviction. February 28th, FBI Director Christopher Wray confirmed that the Bureau believes the COVID-19 virus originated from Wuhan lab. During an interview with Fox News, Wray said that, quote, the FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. Wray is also quoted from a CNN article saying, "You're talking about a potential leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab that killed millions of Americans, and that's precisely what the capability was designed for. March 8th, Japan holds and wins the 2023 World Baseball Classic. March 10th, Xi Jinping is unanimously re-elected President of the People's Republic of China for an unprecedented third term. March 10th, Silicon Valley Bank fails, creating the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis. March 14th, OpenAI launches ChatGPT. March 17th, the International Criminal Court issues arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin. March 8th, Hunter Biden files a lawsuit against John Paul Mac Isaac alleging invasion of privacy. Isaac is the owner of the computer repair shop where Hunter Biden abandoned his laptop. March 23rd, World Athletics bans trans women who have gone through male puberty from competing in female events. March 28th, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signs the so-called Don't Say Gay bill. The Parental Rights in Education bill states, quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. March 29th, Brazil and China sign an agreement to trade in their own currencies instead of US dollars. March 30th, Donald Trump is indicted in New York over hush payments to Stormy Daniels. We discussed both this Trump indictment and Ron DeSantis sort of in general in our episode Trump, DeSantis, and Piers Morgan, Top G is Sort of Free, which we published on March 31st, and also in Trump Indictment Saga Continues, which we published on April 6th. April 1st. Dylan Mulvaney uploaded an Instagram video promoting Bud Light for March Madness. Consumers went on to boycott Bud Light, many citing it as the pinnacle of the Go Woke, Go Broke movement. For a more in-depth look on this story, you can check out our episode Bud Light Pride, which we released on April 13th. April 4th, Donald Trump indicted on 34 counts in New York. The people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election, said District Attorney Bragg. April 4th, Finland joins NATO. April 5th, Palestinians and Israeli police clash at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. The confrontation began on the night of April 4th, when a few hundred Palestinians barricaded themselves in the Al-Aqsa Mosque after Ramadan prayers amid concern that Jews might head to the Temple Mount to perform a ritual sacrifice despite its prohibition. In response, Israeli police raided the mosque in riot gear. According to Palestinians, police threw stun grenades, fired rubber bullets, and beat Palestinians on the floor with batons, injuring at least 50 people and arresting 400. According to the Israeli police, Palestinians threw stones and launched fireworks at police. A video released by Israeli police showed that the fireworks were used inside the mosque. One police officer was injured. The events heightened tensions between Israelis and Palestinians and have drawn international attention on the ongoing conflict in the region. The next night, Palestinian worshippers barricaded themselves in the mosque again and were forcibly removed by Israeli police. April 5th, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is released in theaters. Check out the review podcast here, which was published on April 20th. April 14th, Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, or JUICE, is launched by the European Space Agency. The mission is to search for life in the Jovian system, the satellite system of Jupiter's moons. April 18th, Fox News settles with Dominion Voting Systems for $787 million. The suit was regarding false statements reporting on Fox News television regarding the 2020 election's integrity. It is believed to be the largest settlement in history by a media organization. April 20th, SpaceX Starship rocket launches for the first time in a test flight in Texas, exploding 4 minutes after launch. April 24th, Tucker Carlson is fired from Fox News. May 1st, San Francisco-based First Republic Bank fails. The FDIC auctioned First Republic to JP Morgan Chase. This collapse surpasses Silicon Valley banks in March. May 2nd, the Writers Guild of America strike begins. May 5th, the World Health Organization ends its declaration of COVID-19 being a global health emergency. However, it is still considered to be a pandemic. May 6th, King Charles III and Camilla are coronated King and Queen of the United Kingdom. May 15th, the Durham Report is released to the public. For more information on this topic, you can check out our episode Trump and the Durham Report, Conspiracy Theory or Damning Evidence of Corruption, which we put out on May 19th. May 25th, Russia and Belarus sign an agreement allowing Russia to station tactical nuclear weapons in Belarusian territory. May 26th, Disney's live-action The Little Mermaid is released in theaters. June 2nd, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse debuts in theaters. For our review of this movie and the follow-up episode, because the review and the shorts associated with it did so well, you can check out our episodes Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review, published on June 9th, and Do You Like Spider-Man? We Sure Do, which was published on June 22nd. June 8th, a federal grand jury indicts Donald Trump on 37 charges regarding mishandling of classified documents. I talk about this indictment and the other Trump indictments up to that point in the podcast Solo Special 12, Federal Trump Indictment, which we put out on June 15th. June 6th, New York City is declared to have the worst air quality in the world due to smoke from Canadian wildfires. Like always, I blame Canada.
Blame Canada! Blame Canada! They're not even a real country anyway.
June 14th, scientists report the creation of the first synthetic human embryo using stem cells. June 18th, the Titan submersible implodes. The 5-crew submersible was exploring the wreck of the Titanic when the tragedy happened. June 20th, Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan, and 2 other defendants are indicted for human trafficking and conspiracy in Romania. We did a podcast on the initial arrest titled Andrew Tate Guilty or Not on January 3rd. And links to all the podcasts I'm pointing you to are in the description as well, so you don't have to search for them. You can just look down there. They're all labeled. June 23rd, the Wagner Group begins armed conflict with Russian military amidst invasion of Ukraine. June 23rd, the Part of Your Broadway World podcast debuts first episode on YouTube entitled Jagged Little Pill and officially joins the Arate Podcast Network. July 2nd, cocaine discovered in the White House. Hunter Biden was suspected by many Republicans to be the culprit. The Secret Service stated that it could not limit the list of suspects to less than 500 people, so it was not worth investigating. According to NBC News. July 4th, Sound of Freedom is released in theaters. Subject to media controversy, Sound of Freedom would go on to outgross Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You can check out our review of the movie, and frankly, an episode that I'm quite proud of, which we did on July 13th. July 6th, the first episode of Average Intelligence News is streamed on YouTube. Well, we're about halfway through the year here, and you may notice that some of your clothes aren't quite looking as nice as they once did. Everybody always needs new clothes, but what if I told you there was a place where you can get new clothes and let people know your favorite podcast? Because who doesn't need an Average Intelligence Podcast t-shirt, huh? You don't like that one? You don't like that one? You should like that one. Maybe you want to tell AOC where she can stick it. Huh? Well, okay, maybe you want something a little bit more artsy. Maybe you would like to tell people about Arte Media. And actually, the best part of this shirt, which was kind of by accident, is the text on the back. That's what people notice the most. And it was put there on a whim when I was designing it. It's quite funny. Maybe you're a pro wrestling fan and want to let people know the best pro wrestling, well, not the best pro wrestling podcast, the 13th best pro wrestling podcast out there down the middle. Or maybe you're an OG and we're there from the beginning. Well, guess what? You can still get the original. It is still available. Paying tribute to old Ben before he tragically left us. Oh, and there's another one you may have noticed. This is by design. The Average Intelligence Podcast tinfoil shirt, because sometimes the conspiracy is so big that a tinfoil hat just won't cut it. So if you want to protect yourself from all those conspiracies and the gay frogs, get yourself your tinfoil t-shirt today and represent the podcast. Show your love, because we love all of you that subscribe and watch and all that stuff. Even the negative comments, we love you guys. You're not going to make us mad. I will let you know, though, if you are going to purchase either one of these shirts, the full graphic ones, the graphics go all, they size high. So if you normally wear a medium, I would order a small, and across all those other sizes. So like me, if you're weird like me and it depends on where you shop, go with the smaller of the two, because depending on where I am, it could be a medium or a large. This is a large, and it kind of wears me. I made a mistake. But you can check all that out on our Smarties merchandise store. Link is in the top part of the description, and get your merch today. And now we will get back to 2023. July 14th, the SAG-AFTRA strike begins. Check out this episode of the Part of Your Broadway World podcast that goes more in-depth on the strike. July 20th, Grassley and Comer released 2020 FBI document that claims Burisma chief executive says he paid Hunter and Joe Biden $5 million each to, quote, deal with Shokin. July 21st, Barbie and Oppenheimer open in theaters. So we did a comedy review of the Barbie movie on August 3rd, and then we released the gag reel that frankly was funnier than the review on August 27th, so you can check those out as well. July 26th, a military coup overthrows Mohamed Bazoum's government in Niger. July 26th, previous Hunter-Biden plea deal falls apart after judge rules agreement may not be constitutional. Biden had agreed to plead guilty on 2 misdemeanor charges that he failed to pay his taxes in 2017 and 2018. The deal also arranged to avoid prosecution on a gun charge and future charges. August 1st, a federal grand jury indicts Donald Trump for election conspiracy in Washington, D.C. Check out our episode, Trump Indictment Saga Continues, which we released on August 31st. August 8th, wildfires break out on the island of Maui, Hawaii. An estimated 100 people were killed and 4 missing. August 23rd, India's Chandrayaan-3 becomes the first spacecraft to land near the South Pole of the Moon. August 23rd, Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin and founder Dmitry Yutkin are killed when their plane crashes in Russia. What are you looking at? There's nothing to see here. August 28th, Toon Talk 2.0 debuts their first episode on YouTube, officially joining the Arate Podcast Network. September 2nd, the Indian Space Research Organization successfully launches India's first solar observation mission. September 8th, South Africa beats New Zealand 12-11 to win the Rugby World Cup. September 8th, a 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes western Morocco, killing at least 2,960 people. September 15th, United Auto Workers strike begins. The strike was suspended in the last week of October as the automakers made tentative deals that largely matched the UAW demands. September 19th, Azerbaijan launches military offensive against Armenia-backed Republic of Artsakh. After a quick victory for Azerbaijan, 100,000 ethnic Armenians flee to Nagorno-Karabakh. September 20th, archaeologists in Zambia find the world's oldest known wooden structure, dating back 476,000 years. September 12th, Speaker of the House of Representatives Kevin McCarthy opens impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. September 26th, Donald Trump is found guilty of fraud in New York civil case. Quote, a New York judge found Donald Trump and his family business fraudulently inflated the value of his properties and other assets. The entire article can be found in the description. September 29th, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis indicted for the murder of Tupac Shakur. October 3rd, Kevin McCarthy is removed as Speaker of the House of Representatives. October 7th, Hamas launches an incursion into Israel from Gaza. Hamas militants and civilians attacked several military and civilian targets in Israel, including a music festival, along with coordinated rocket attacks resulting in over 1,200 dead. Along with military and police casualties, 816 were civilians, including women and children. Several others were taken alive as hostages and brought back into Gaza. For more information on this topic, you can look at our episode entitled Israel, which we released on October 12th, and do some research on your own, because I will not lie, we are incredibly biased on this one. Thumbnail should be pretty obvious. October 13th, Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard. November 1st, the first AI Safety Summit takes place in the United Kingdom. November 2nd, the Beatles release Now and Then single. This is the band's last song ever, including restored vocal tracks from John Lennon and restored guitar tracks from George Harrison. November 19th, Australia defeats India in the Cricket World Cup. November 19th, Javier Milei wins Argentina presidential race. Milei, dubbed the Trump of South America, ran on a platform of anti-woke bureaucracy elimination.
Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera.
November 30th, Brazil announces it will join OPEC+. November 22nd, Napoleon is released in theaters. November 22nd, the Goosebumps crew releases their first podcast episode. They officially joined the Arate Podcast Network soon after. Check out their first episode, Autopsy of Goosebumps 2023. December 1st, Godzilla Minus One premieres in American theaters. It would go on to become the highest-grossing Godzilla film in history. Justin Spur joined the Arate podcast to talk about Godzilla in this episode here. And speaking of Justin, December 3rd, the Spur of the Moment podcast debuts on YouTube and officially joins the Arate podcast network. Check out their first episode here on YouTube. December 6th, Taylor Swift reveals she is dating Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Is it a real relationship or a cheap ploy for the NFL to get more ratings? We'll see. December 7th, Hunter Biden is indicted on tax charges. A federal grand jury in California has charged Hunter Biden with 9 counts of failing to file and pay taxes, tax evasion, and filing false tax returns. December 19th, Donald Trump is removed from the Colorado primary ballot. The Republican Party of Colorado appealed the 4-3 Colorado Supreme Court decision. The court has stayed the decision until January 4th or until the United States Supreme Court rules on the decision. December 22nd. Both Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, and A24's wrestling biopic The Iron Claw are released in theaters. Stay tuned for an upcoming review of The Iron Claw on the Down the Middle podcast. December 29th. Maine Secretary of State removes Donald Trump from the primary ballot. Sienna Bellows, a Democrat Secretary of State, stated her decision will be put on hold until the Maine Superior Court makes a ruling. Maine's law dictates the court must make a decision by January 17th. Well, we have reached the end of the year in review, but it wouldn't be an episode of Average Intelligence News if we didn't do what I think might be my favorite part. Let's go through some headlines. Today, let's see. We're going to do CNN, obviously, and will we do Daily Wire or Fox? Let's do Fox News today. So we're going to look at headlines from CNN and Fox News. I'm just going to open up the apps, and the first article that pops up will be what I take a look at. I won't read the whole article, but I will at least read the headline and kind of scroll through. All right, so CNN. White House says it is not seeking wider conflict in the Middle East after U.S. helicopters sink Houthi boats. Let's see here. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels are stepping up their strikes on ships in the Red Sea. For those who don't know, I don't know if you call it a blockade, but they were holding up boats in the Red Sea, which they say are revenge against Israel for its military campaign in Gaza. Okay. Let's see. There are fears that these attacks could escalate Israel's war against Hamas. Not really sure how that's into a wider regional conflict. Well, yeah, but would that be Israel's fault or would that be the Houthis' fault? The U.S. Sundays have no desire into wider war. No, that's true. The U.S. Navy helicopter sank 3 Houthi boats that the U.S. said fired on the aircraft in the Red Sea. Probably true. The helicopters had been responding to a distress call from the latest commercial vessel to come under Houthi fire. I mean, it does kind of, make sense. The article goes on to give you some background information on the Houthis, which is appreciated. That's very good. And then that's pretty much it. So yeah, fairly unbiased piece from what I can tell. And now let's open up Fox News. Highly encourage you to read every article that I reference or talk about as well. And on Fox News, rare move as Harvard honor student rep. Is this a sentence? Rare move as Harvard honor student rep puts disgraced president on notice over plagiarism scandal. Rare move as Harvard honor student rep puts disgraced president on notice. Okay. Wow. Rare move as Harvard honor student rep. Rare move as Harvard honor student rep puts disgraced president on notice over plagiarism scandal. It's not wrong, but boy, is that hard to... let's see here. An undergraduate member of Harvard's Honor Council believes university president Claudine Gay is, quote, getting off easy from her recent plagiarism allegations. The student, who remained anonymous, wrote an op-ed published in the Harvard Crimson student newspaper on Sunday. Gay is facing widespread accusations of anti-Semitism and plagiarism, but the university board has declared it still supports her. Yeah. It quotes the student. And then this is a student again. When my peers are found responsible for multiple instances of inadequate citation, they are often suspended for an academic year. When the president of their university is found responsible for the same type of infractions, the fellows of the corporation, quote, unanimously stand in support of her, the student wrote. The student went on to argue the evidence suggests Gay's plagiarism was, quote, routine and pervasive throughout her career. And then it just quotes the student more. It doesn't really give the other side on this one, which, I mean, it is Fox News, so do with what you will. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the year in review, because I know I enjoyed it better than the year itself. Here's hoping that 2024 is infinitely better for everyone. But if you had a good 2023, then good on you. I hate you. Because my 2023 was, well, it wasn't terrible. I shouldn't say that. It was a rough year. And it was a rough year for a lot of people I know, so... But thankfully, there's always next year, and we only have a few hours left. So this has been Average Intelligence News through the Average Intelligence Podcast. Be sure to get your merch if you would like to, and we wish everyone out there a safe and happy new year.